Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and today I thought we'd get back on with this little Apricot project. As you can see, I've reassembled the actual computer. We've still got to really go through the power supply in this, but I'm happy enough at the moment for initial playing about for it to be okay. Like I said, there was no nasty voltages in there. If anything, everything was just a tiny little bit low, which is quite, it's quite common when the capacitors start failing that little bit, that it's going to just drop them voltages down a little bit. But what I thought we'd do today is take a look at the monitors, because previously when we've had this computer fired up, and actually until today, until now, until we start filming this, I've only ever run this on my test monitor back here, just for the composite output on the F2 here. And I want to see whether this monitor's got any life in it, because this is the one that came with the F2, and it's also one that it's got some physical damage on the back that I showed in the previous video. And also that isn't the correct CRT. I'm pretty certain that isn't the correct CRT for this monitor, because it doesn't seem to fit. Like I said, you can actually, there's a gap all the way around the CRT there, and it appears that the actual glass of the CRT comes out like here on the monitor. So what's that, it's going to be like a 10 or 12 inch CRT and like a 9 inch, well, in fact I think, is that a 10 inch screen on these? I think the other one's a 9 inch, and I think this is a 10 inch. I haven't got a, I don't think I've got a ruler or a tape measure around me to verify that, but it looks about that anyway. Like I said, I think that the CRT in there is a bit of a bigger one. But then I've also got that monitor I unboxed in a previous video, which is a new old stock Apricot green screen monitor. Now I think that is actually intended for the XI, which is the earlier system than this. But as far as I'm aware, the monitors are completely interchangeable. All the early Apricot stuff, basically, apart from the keyboards. You couldn't use this keyboard on an XI, you couldn't use an XI keyboard on an F series. But as the monitors go, the software goes, I think peripheral cards, hard drives, things like that, they're all pretty much interchangeable, as far as I'm aware so far anyway. What I think we'll do first is just see if, basically have a quick look over this monitor, and then we can see if there's any life in it. We'll spin it round and you'll see the first issue with it, and it's received a bit of a whack here, and it's just broke the plastic in, so hopefully we can fix that. What I think I'm going to do, I'm going to whip the back off it. We're not plugged in. I've not had this plugged in, and according to the previous owner, this thing hasn't been used since sometime in the 90s. I think he said it had last been powered up in the 90s, I think. So I'm not worried about there being any charge in the CRT in this thing. If the computer had been plugged in and powered up recently, I would have to take some more precautions actually working on the monitor, because essentially the CRTs in these things, the way that they're made, the outer glass of the CRT on the back basically creates a capacitor. It's to do with smoothing, I believe. But what basically happens is the CRT can actually hold a charge in that capacitor, and when I say a charge, we're talking, 10,000 volts plus, and it can hold that charge for quite a considerable amount of time. That's why, like I said, if you're working on something that has been powered recently, there is a procedure to go through to actually discharge that potentially stored. Oh well, I think we've actually got. Have we got a screw in there? I don't know, it doesn't feel right. I think there is a screw in there, but I don't think it's the right screw. Right, let's have a pull at that. There we go. Yeah, it's free. There we go. And take the back off and see exactly what state this thing's in inside. So this is the one that's obviously had some modification work done to it. Let's have a look here now. I'm not all that sure now. Because all the bracketry here don't look like it's been modified to fit a larger CRT. This is odd. And unfortunately, what I don't know is what CRTs these would have actually had in originally. I'd have to see if I could find some service data on the actual monitor to find that out. Let's take the shielding off, so we can have a quick squiz at the board and just give the board a quick eyeball over. Very nicely made with all this aluminium shielding on it. And all this shielding has been hand bent as well. You can actually see the pencil marks on the metalwork here where it's been put in a folding machine. So there was probably some guy at the factory sat on a folding machine actually folding these shields up. You know, this wouldn't have been done on a. I don't think this was done on a big machine where you just put a flat piece of metal in and stamp. Out comes your back. Like I said, it's got all these pencil marks where the folds have been made. I think these are literally, you know, hand assembled. Let's get in here. I'll tell you what, that swivel base makes it quite nice and easy to work on as well. I mean, was they just using whatever CRTs were the cheapest to get hold of, and it didn't matter? They just messed with the geometry to get them to fit the screen they were intended for. I don't know. That should be it. That should be free. Well, apart from right, that's actually quite complex. We've got an extra board. Got an extra board on the back here. Hang on, let's see if I can. I don't want to pull any of the wires out. That's the only thing. I weren't expecting to find an extra little board on the back here like this. We have. It's a sector ACT and then a serial code. Low resolution interface. Right. Okay. Can't see anything that looks too nasty in there. Obviously, I've not got anything to really test any components just on my desk here. But I'm just looking for anything that looks burnt or otherwise dodgy, and I can't honestly see anything. The line output transformer is tiny. It's this little unit here. That doesn't look in bad condition. I can't see any blackening or anywhere it looks like it's been tracking, so that looks like it's probably okay. Just seeing if there's anything interesting on the CRT, any dates or anything, which would be a handy thing to find. Yeah, it's July the 10th, 1985. So perhaps it is the correct CRT. You just expect it to fit, to fit a damn sight better than it does. It doesn't fit very well. In fact, it looks like the whole chassis might slide on some sliders there, so I wonder if it can just be slid forwards and that'd fix it. Although Well, I'm not sure here. I might actually go into... Well, shall we see if it actually works, I think that's probably the best thing. Like I said, I can't see any swelled up capacitors. That doesn't necessarily mean that the capacitors are good. They could still be electrically leaky. They could be actually still be physically leaky and have leaked electrolyte, although I can't see any residue or anything nasty on the board, and it looks incredibly clean. Most monitors, and well, most things that have got a very high voltage like this seem to attract, well, they attract dust, and they're generally quite filthy inside. There's a little bit of dust, by the look of it, around the tripler there. I presume it's a tripler. But apart from that, it looks really, really clean and dust free. We'll reassemble it. At least reassemble the case, because potentially you could have a bit of X-ray emission on something like this. I presume that's why it has quite so much shielding on it, actually. The shielding is certainly quite substantial. We'll have to see what we can do about that bit of broken plastic there. I'm pretty sure we can do a decent enough repair on that, I think. I think that'll glue back okay without really showing all that much. I'll put the case back on for now. I'm guessing these monitors were used in more things than just the Apricots. It does just look like a very standard industrial monitor chassis. There doesn't seem to be any, like I said, there doesn't seem to be any really nasty damage. There we go. And one good thing is, because there's no mains in this, you've got no nasty across the line capacitor, X-type capacitors to have to replace. I say it basically all runs on a fairly low voltage, this. And then all the high voltages are generated on the main PCB. Well, they're all generated by the line output transformer and switching transistors. Go on, get on. It come off easy enough, but it's looking like it's going to be an absolute bugger to get back on. Oh no, there we go, there we go. That's it. Just stick the screws back in for now. We will have to go back in this, like I said, I need to repair that plastic. Need to repair that plastic, and we will go over and just check the capacitors out a bit. Get the iron on the board, do a bit of a quick smell test on the board, make sure there's none actually physically leaky. And we might pull a few and just check the ESR on them. Check, see if they've drifted in value. Right, there we go. That should be safe to power up at least. see where our, set that somewhere about halfway. That's our contrast control there. I will plug this into the computer and we'll see if it does anything. Unfortunately, it doesn't even have a LED on it, a power LED on it. Plug. Move the keyboard. And we'll plug this into the back of the system. Unplug my composite wire. Plug in the monitor. And we also have to plug in, wherever it's gone, there it is, the extra power supply that powers the monitor. But like I said, this doesn't plug actually into the monitor, it plugs into the back of the computer system. So that's plugged in. I suppose we better see if this is going to do anything. I'll get you around like that, get that back a bit. I'll get the keyboard, I've got a boot disk just in case. So let's switch it on and we'll see whether that monitor is actually going to work. I think I heard the line output transformer fire up. I can actually hear the monitor. There we go. It works. I will say it doesn't look as good on the monitor than it does actually on the composite output. It does look a lot lower resolution. Wonder if we can get it to load Gem Desktop. I actually did manage to get Gem Desktop to run using my test monitor there, but I wonder if it's going to run on this without having to be reconfigured. We can give it a try. I will say that the monitor just seems to be making a bit of noise, like I don't know if it's the scan coils or the line output transformer, but I can definitely hear. Oh, it works. Yeah, that monitor's quite noisy. I think it might be the line output transformer, but if you look there, we do actually have a working version of Gem Desktop. Unfortunately, what I don't have is a monitor, sorry, not a monitor, a mouse to operate it with. You can just about do it with the keyboard, but it's not ideal. I'll try and demonstrate. Obviously, you can use the arrow keys to navigate around. Let's put the apps disk in. There's not many apps on this, but at least it show it working. We use the home key as your mouse button. But as you can see, like I said, it is actually a fully functional GUI. It's far better than anything that Microsoft was producing at the time. In fact, let me zoom you in, see if you can get a better idea on this. Ooh, let's get you zoomed in. Let's just try and move you across a little bit. There we go. So this is anyone that is familiar with the old Atari STs, or even the Amstrad PCs from the early 90s, late 80s and early 90s will be familiar with Gem Desktop. But the Apricots had this in 1985. Like I said, this was out at the same time as like the original Apple. Well, did the original Apple Mac come out in '84, didn't it? So we're not talking much longer after that. In fact, I mean, Apricot were producing systems that would run a GUI in, I think, '83. So before pre-Apple Mac, I mean, the Lisa was a very expensive machine compared with, you know, something like this. These were a lot cheaper. and it was quite a decent little GUI. This, I actually believe that Digital Research, who did the Gem desktop, got sued by Apple over the trash can there. And I don't know, but I think in later versions of Gem, they actually remove that trash can icon. But obviously this is a very early version of Gem, and it does have the little trash can icon there. We'll try and get something to load up. Gem apps. There we go. Oh, we've got Gem right. As you can see, really not a bad GUI. It's a bit of a pain, like I said, operating it with the actual arrow keys rather than a proper mouse, but it is doable. It did make this, really a decent computer if you think about it for the time, for 1985. It was something quite good really, especially for a business and office office type environment, and for what you need to do in an office. Let's see what we can get out of this. Quit, I think it's down there. Let's quit, there we go. What I would really love to get hold of though is the mouse for this, and unfortunately it would have to be the wireless F-series mouse. They did exactly the same mouse on the early version of the Zen that came later than this, but it's a wired version of it, and I don't think you'll be able to get that to actually work with the XI. So like I said, I really could do with tracking down one of the original F-series mice. It was also used on the portable. I think you could even get it for the, so you could get it for the XI. I think you definitely get it for the F-series, and you could definitely get it for the Apricot portable. But I'm not sure about the XI now, thinking about it, because that didn't have the infrared capabilities of the portable and the F-series. But if anyone's got one of the wireless mice and they want to sell it at a not exorbitant price, I'd be interested in it. In fact, if anyone's got one that they would be willing to lend me so I could reverse engineer it and actually just build one, I'd most appreciate that as well, because I'd love to try and have a play with Gem Desktop, actually using a proper mouse rather than just doing it on the keyboard like this. It doesn't, you don't get the full experience having to navigate through all the menus using a keyboard. There, we just drop us out to DOS, as you can see. But yeah, I'm not sure whether that's the correct monitor, for the correct CRT for this monitor or not, because the chassis looks right inside, but the CRT is definitely, a lot bigger than the bezel around here is, because the CRT is out here all the way around. I think it's a 12-inch CRT that they've stuck in a 10-inch monitor, which doesn't make a huge amount of sense unless they manage to just get hold of a load of these CRTs a lot cheaper, and it was just cheaper to do that and waste the extra spacing. Anyway, really pleased that this one works. Shall we see if the other one that I've got also works? Oh, hang on, that's me just catching the monitor cable for it. So I think we might need to have a look at that as well. Perhaps needs a bit of resoldering on it. But yeah, so that monitor definitely does work, but it just needs a little bit of restoration on it. This next monitor definitely does not need any work on it. Well, cosmetically at all, it's perfect. But we don't actually know whether it works or not. So we'll get that one out of the box. So this is the one that I showed in a previous video, and this is. Ooh. I wish I'd have got it out of the box before I started filming now, because I forgot how hard it is to actually get out of the box. Sorry, just bear with me a second, folks. I'll be right back. Okay, and we're back, and here we are with the new old stock Apricot monitor that I picked up. So I didn't pay very much for this, really. I only paid, look at that. It really does suit this computer more. Look, it's nice and diddy. Is that what? Look, that's a 9-inch, 8-inch, about an 8-inch screen. But it actually suits the Apricot F-series so much more than the monitor that was on it. I mean, if I could get the Apricot to... I think that is actually pretty much the original colour, I'm not sure. Let's see if it works. I say I haven't got a clue whether this monitor works or not. It should be compatible with the F-series. Like I say, I think most of the Apricot stuff, like I said, apart from the keyboards, and like I said, I'm not sure about the wireless mouse on an original XI, but let's give that a try. No. Don't look like this one's got any anyone at home. Nothing at all, no signs of life. Oh, hang on, in fact, switch off because I can spell something now. Yeah, there's something definitely amiss with this monitor. Oh dear. I do hope that's coming from the monitor and not the Apricot itself. So I'm guessing it's either died because of just age, or this actually has... I'm not sure where that smell's coming from. Whether that smell's coming from the monitor itself or the actual Apricot. I'm hoping it's coming from the monitor. There's only really one way to try. We'll plug the other monitors back into the Apricot and make sure everything's... In fact, before we do that, let's just pop the back off this and have a quick squiz inside, see if we can see anything obvious. But there was definitely that unmistakable smell of hot electronics. I didn't see any magic smoke escape, but we did get that, like I said, that unmistakable smell of rather hot electronics. Let's pull that knob off because I think I need to take that off to get the back off. All the screws out, take the back off, and there does seem to be a bit of an aroma around the monitor. I must say, Same, really nicely made. It's even got the same pencil marks. I wonder if it was the same chap. It's even got the same pencil marks on the shielding here, where it was marked up before it was bent. Marks all along. Like I said, it's just does look. I mean, the actual board's different, but apart from that, it does look a very similar design. Let's whip the. I don't think you need to take them all out. I think you just need to give them a just slacken them off slightly. I hope I can get this one working, because this one suits the little F-series a lot more than the slightly larger monitor. In fact, the larger one would probably look better on the XI, to be fair. That's free. Let's take them out just to make life easier. I know those ones you do have to take out. See, some of the holes they've slotted, other holes they haven't. Because they're nice like that. Yeah, why have they done it like that? They've slotted the top holes here, but the holes further down, they've drilled straight through. Come on, off you come. I'm struggling to get this screw out. It seems to be spinning in its hole. There we go. Come on. There we are. There's always one, isn't there? Let's lift this shielding out. Now this looks like it has provision for a board, but this one doesn't have it fitted. It does look very nice and new in there, I will say that. In fact, it does look brand new in there. So either this has failed because of just due to storage and you know, some of these capacitors have dried up, or this is something that's been sent out and was DOA and has been returned and it's not been repaired. It's just ended up going into storage for God knows how many years. I mean, which is one of the risks you take when you buy some of this stuff that's, you know, it was sold as seen, it wasn't sold as working. And, you know, that's obviously sat around for a long time. You don't actually know what the main story with it is. But, like I said, it does look absolutely pristine in there. There isn't a speck of dust on anything, the CRT, the cabling, anything. And it's incredibly pristine in there. That could be a DSIF for the capacitor, but it does possibly look like that capacitor there may have been leaking on the board around there. I can't see anything else around any of the other capacitors, just that one there, which does kind of lead you to think maybe possibly that's been leaking. I'm not sure. I can't see anything that's obviously burnt. Like I say, I could definitely smell. That's why I pulled the power when I did it. I could definitely smell something, but I can't say I can see anything immediately that looks like it's started to smoke. But like I say, as we have a nice working monitor at the moment, even if it is a little bit well, possibly is a little bit of a bitzer. So I'm not sure about that yet. I'll have to do a little bit more research on the monitors that are used on these things. We won't worry about this one too much for the moment. Like I said, it's still nice, new in box. And what I'll probably do is I will stick it back in its original box, put it into storage in the attic until I have more time and some decent amount of space. In fact, when I've got my new work area finally set up and sorted, so we can actually do some proper diagnostics and actually find out what's wrong with this thing. I just hope it's not something like a shorted line output transformer. Something like that is going to be the absolute death knell for a monitor like this, because I very much doubt I would be able to get a replacement line output transformer for it. It's one of the reasons why I haven't gone much further on that Merlin Tonto that I got hold of last year, is because the monitor that came with it, the line output transformer in it's bad. I cannot get one. I have looked around and quite a bit, and I cannot get any line output transformer that's suitable for it. My other option is to build a use the power supply and basically use it with a different monitor. Probably RGB colour, seeing that it does output RGB colour, the computer. But I haven't had time to really look into it much further. Hence why I say I haven't done any more videos on that little Merlin Tonto. But again, when I've got some more space where I can actually get things set up a bit better, we should be doing some more videos on some of the more unusual stuff I've got like that. And this would be a great little monitor to get working. It does mean I would have to retrobite this F-series, because the contrast between these at the moment is very pronounced. It's a bit of a shame it doesn't just work out of the box, but it wouldn't be as much fun then, would it? Like I said, we wouldn't have the fun of trying to repair it if it just worked. And at least we have one monitor that we can use. Come on, get in that hole. Come on, there we are. It's always a pain, you'll try to just... Oh, I'll just quickly screw it back together while I'm chatting, and then you end up spending ages putting one screw in because it's decides it wants to misbehave. Go on, in you go. Last one. And it's a little bit of a disappointment that in one way, a little bit of disappointment that is going to need some extra work on it, but like I said, it will be a fun little project in itself, trying to get that monitor up and running. We'll stick it back in its protective bag. And I do want to keep that pristine, because obviously at the moment it is. Even if it is non-functional, we can still keep its appearance pristine. We'll just quickly plug this one back in. I do have a feeling it was the monitor that's defective rather than something in the computer just failing, but I'll just quickly plug it back in and switch on. should be able to get a display up on this. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with the computer. It is indeed, unfortunately, a case that the little monitor is faulty. Just let it boot into Gem again, because I do think it's really cool. I do have a little bit of experience with Gem because I played about with quite a few of the, like I said, them Amstrads back in the 90s, very late 90s. I ended up with a load of them, which I refurbed and just sold as really cheap little word processors at college. But there we go. Like I said, that is our Apricot F2 finally actually running its GUI. I believe there was actually another GUI used on these too before they had Gem Desktop. Can't remember off the top of my head what it was called, and I don't think it was anywhere near as good as this. I think it was a lot more like Windows version 1.0 than like I said, Gem, which was really what I consider like a proper GUI. You know, it was more like what you would find on a Apple Mac of the time. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. Hope you enjoyed this little update. We will be doing some more videos. I might give Apricots a rest for a little bit and do a couple of videos on some other things. Maybe even some things that are not computer related. I'm not sure yet. I've got one computer related thing I might have a fiddle with soon, but I do have a bit of work to get done next week, so I don't know how many videos or bits of fiddling time I'm going to get. So anyway, I'm rambling now, so I'm going to leave it there for now. Like I say, I hope you enjoyed this little update. So thanks for watching and goodbye.